Experience and love the life of an undercover operative on Epstein Island. Congratulations. You've just been promoted into the Bureau, what they call special operations. In internal parlance, it means should you fail, you never existed. They give you a pat on the back, slide across a brand new set of credentials, accompanied by a look that sees straight through them. That is how they inform you. No one offers warm congratulations. After all, no one celebrates a person about to walk into danger. The written orders are straightforward enough. Infiltrate the private island of a globally renowned philanthropist. On screen, the man poses with an impeccable smile, photographed alongside donors to noble causes. He is a visionary. In the hallways of the Multi-Case Investigation Division, he is a philanthropist with invisible quotation marks around the word. The island appears in no travel guide. It surfaces in rumors, shows up in oddly routed flight itineraries, emerges in dining receipts that don't quite add up, and turns up in party photographs, where people look far too relaxed for the company they're keeping. And now it lies inside the thin dossier in your hands. Because paper carries its lies with more restraint than living people do. Recover legal compliance and logistics consultant for charitable operations. In other words, your official role is to ensure vessel operations, flight schedules, and vendor protocols run smoothly. Your actual mission is to corrode the operation from within without being detected. And your most covert objective, the most critical one, is to survive long enough, 10 days, to gather ironclad evidence sufficient to trigger a takedown operation. They give you an alias, a fabricated or some, a fake professional profile with recommendation letters written by fictitious people, a social media presence, and an expensive suit. The collar scratches slightly at the neck, as if to remind you, constantly, that you don't belong to that world. They teach you the ground rules, never ask direct questions. Never let surprise show on your face, never drink past your limit, and never let yourself fall in love with a narrative of opulence. Here, luxury is a tool, they tell you, like a blade. It cleans, it cuts, and then it gets wiped clean. You arrive at a small coastal airstrip where half the people wear sunglasses, even indoors, in the shade. A man with a clear earpiece comes to collect you. He does not introduce himself. Discretion is the common language here. They put you aboard a high-speed motor yacht. The sea is impossibly beautiful, like a co-conspirator. In the distance, the island gleams in immaculate green, pristine and perfect, a scenic postcard with a buried history. At the dock, the first round of screening awaits. It is not a security check. It is a ritual of suspicion. They take your mobile phone, strip you of your smartwatch, and confiscate every device with any computing capability. In return, they hand you an internal communicator, a stripped-down menu of functions, calls, messages, a calendar, nothing else. No reason given. For privacy, they say. Of course, their privacy is your blindness. They escort you along a path lined with palm trees toward the main pillar, striking in a way only something designed by a quietly generous ego can be. White walls, floor-to-ceiling glass, immaculate surfaces, and that sterile silence that only money can buy, the kind that seals out reality. At the entrance stands an abstract sculpture attempting to pass itself off as art, but succeeding only in conveying a sense of warning. Everything here is a symbol. Nothing is coincidence. They introduce you to the island's coordinator. Everyone calls him the director. He carries himself like the boss character in a video game, a professional smile on his face, calculation behind his eyes. He greets you and delivers the first rule: things here are kept simple. You will not see anything we have not already explained to you. He speaks with the tone of the monk, as if offering you a glass of clear water with a smile, while his hands are scalded. Your face has become a mask. You're wearing the most expensive one of your life. The first day they call it orientation and integration. They sell it to you. They walk you through the approved areas: commercial-grade kitchen, cocktail lounge, reception room, gym, guest suites, all flawless, always prepared, always impressive. The staff here could run a 5-star hotel, though the hotel doesn't really exist. The staff move like shadows, efficient, invisible, eyes cast downward. Not one of them holds your gaze for more than half a second. You notice discordant details: unmarked doors fitted with biometric scanners, surveillance cameras tucked into every angle, an elevator with a single, unlabeled button, a large seascape oil painting hanging on one wall with a frame far too thick. You glance at it and feel the unease of being watched by eyes that are not their own. Something, not the painting itself, is watching. At the welcome dinner, the host makes his entrance. He doesn't stride in. He materializes, pale linen suit, an easy smile, a measured voice. When he speaks, it is as if a lawyer is standing behind every word. He engages you with just enough force to remind you he is in control. I appreciate talented people here, he says. Talent is an emotion. It generates results. He says it as though it's a performance, still smiling, as if he has just staged the most fitting banquet. Among the guests, fading celebrities, retired politicians hungry for renewed relevance, and several tech visionaries who appear not to have aged a day since 2013. Everyone calls each other friends, but none of them are. Everyone flatters everyone else as if flattery were the currency. And every single guest performs the role of someone who believes the island is simply one long party in honor of noble philanthropy. What impresses you most is not the extravagance. It is the collective discipline of maintaining the lie. Your duties begin with the mundane, reviewing the guest manifest, coordinating arrival schedules, approving supplies. The director assigns you an assistant, a young man of few words who documents everything. This way you won't get lost, he tells you, so you don't stray. 2:17 a.m. You hear a door close somewhere down the corridor. Not the sound itself, but the precision of it, as if someone had rehearsed it. You rise and move, easing your bedroom door slightly open. The corridor is empty, but one of the camera lenses is rotated half a centimeter. You catch the movement. The lens freezes. You return to bed, committing the timestamp to memory. You fall asleep with the certainty that someone else has noted the same thing. Sleep comes. From the second day onward, the island begins to reveal its true geography. Not through signs, but through absences. Certain flaws cannot be entered without a summons. Some corridors are cleaned with unusual speed, as if allergic to footprints. Certain guests vanish for hours and return wearing tight-lipped smiles, as if they just signed something important, or something irreversible. At a coordination meeting, the host mentions the orchid in passing. No one asks what it is. No one needs to. One of the lawyers clears his throat and steers the conversation to wine. You understand the choreography now. Certain words must never be touched. You begin your observations, logging names, patterns, schedules, habits. When the host moves, two broad-shouldered men are always at his side, plus a woman who appears to be his assistant but actually coordinates everyone. Guests wear different wristbands. No one says a word about them, but it is clearly an access hierarchy. Certain doors only unlock when specific wristbands are brought close. You notice the readers flash differently depending on whose wristband passes by. On the third night, there's an after-dark cocktail party, firelight flickering, soft music, expensive wine, the moon holding still above everything. You discipline yourself to drink slowly, to laugh at the right moments, to make yourself forgettable. Midway through, a drunk man grabs your shoulder and whispers, "Listen, everyone who comes here wants something. Money, access, protection, or leverage. What are you here for?" His breath is thick with spirits and desperation. You answer with a polished lie about professional obligations. Pilatus tells you that's what they all say, then walks away as if he'd just given you advice or a warning. Later, you watch the host in conversation with a well-known musician. They laugh, they embrace. Then the musician's expression shifts. He listens to something, says goodbye to no one in particular, and leaves. You watch him disappear through an unmarked door. 10 minutes later, the same door opens again. Only the host emerges. He adjusts his watch, gazes out at the sea with a smile as if nothing has happened. That entire night, you do not sleep. You wait and watch the stats positional rotations. At 4:40, a cart rolls through the corridor. The young man pushing it shows no sign of fatigue, only a look of assigned purpose. As he passes your door, the cart produces a hollow metallic sound. Inside a dark plastic sheeting, not clothing, not linens. The smell is not soap. It is something closer to bleach. The next morning, you find an unsigned note on your desk. Discretion is valued here. The handwriting is too perfect, not surgical, more like it was printed by a human being. After that, everything tightens like a closing net, accelerating with brutal precision. They assign you duties closer to the inner circle, managing private schedules, handling last-minute changes, taking phone calls in terse language, all names omitted. You learn a vocabulary, special guests, those who never appear on any official list, maintenance windows, periods when certain areas are sealed off, private, do not discuss, meaning someone entered and did not come out as the same person. On a rainy afternoon, the director takes you into the server room. This way, you'll understand why we require digital silence. The room is cold. Racks of green indicator lights fill every wall. Server racks, drive arrays, cables. He shows you camera feeds from every corner of the island, not ordinary security cameras. Every crevice, every corridor, every terrace, ice everywhere. This protects us, he tells you. You think this controls us. On one of the screens, you briefly see an elegant room, people in conversation. On another screen, a corridor, a metal door. In the background, a kitchen. All as expected. Until, for just a moment, a small secondary window flickers in the screen's corner, showing something that should not exist: a windowless room, a chair, a table. Harsh white lighting. But fixed in place, as if it has been waiting a long time for someone. You blink, and the window is gone. The director continues talking about firewalls. You say nothing. You have learned to remember what you're not supposed to have seen. At a business dinner, the host raises his glass to the friends who help keep the world's shortcuts running. It is so cynical you nearly laugh out loud, but everyone else raises a glass. A painter drinks. You drink too. A faint metallic taste rises on your tongue. Nothing to do with the wine. You begin to notice certain guests arrive brash and leave compliant. Some arrive full of arrogance and leave carrying something heavier. They come in speaking loudly and leave whispering. He does not buy compliance. He manufactures it, and you are watching the machine from the inside. Your agency wants evidence, not impressions, not intuitions. The difficulty lies precisely here. The island keeps no records. What it keeps is leverage, held in the hands of others, locked inside devices you cannot reach, recorded by cameras you cannot control, in conversations 2 meters beyond your grasp. You try to find an opening. You approach one of the peripheral guests, an older wealthy man who has witnessed too many gatherings of the powerful. You ask him quietly whether everything is all right. He looks at you as if you had just said something dangerous. "Everything here is fine," he replies, and then, barely moving his lips, adds, "You're not the first." He walks away. On the 5th day, you are invited to a private donor meeting in a closed room. On the table, a contract. They do not call it a contract, they call it a commitment. It is a substantial donation to a foundation with an impeccably clean name, but the terms are extreme absolute confidentiality, offer arbitration, and absurd liability clauses concerning reputational harm. In short, if you speak, they destroy you. One investor objects, "This is too much." The lawyer smiles standard terms. The host reassures the investor with practiced warmth, "You're under no obligation." The investor signs. No one forced him, but everyone knows the current was already pulling them all in. A quiet young man, your assistant, begins speaking to you in code. In the pantry, he tells you there is maintenance work in the lower level tomorrow. You didn't know there was a lower level, or where it is. Yes, and he stares at the floor and says, "No windows down there." Along the edge of your tray, he leaves an extra access card covered by a napkin. His hands are trembling slightly. It is the bravest thing you have witnessed on this island. That night, you decide to go down. 3:03 a.m. You leave the room. You walk like someone going to get a glass of water. The corridor appears empty, but emptiness has its own mechanics: the low hum of electrical current, the soft click of motion sensors, big scale of climate control. You approach the elevator with the unmarked button and swipe the card. The reader lights up, as if it had always been waiting, just for your arrival. You descend. The doors open onto a corridor of polished concrete, no artwork, no flowers, no luxury, no theater here, only function. You walked, hearing your own heartbeat, like a clock that has lost its face. At the end of the corridor, another card reader door. You swipe and enter. It looks like an office, filing cabinets, a desk with a closed laptop resting on it. Along one wall, screens, all dark, everything too orderly. In the corner, an industrial shredder, bags of shredded paper stacked beside it. On the desk, a padlocked mailbox. On the wall, a framed motivational plaque. The corporate speak, kindly compliance is peace. You note it quietly. Your stomach turns. You carefully pull open a drawer of flight logs using coded designations, abbreviated names. Dense, but not yet enough. Not proof. Only framework. Inside a folder, you find more. Small printed photographs, like old Polaroids. They show no explicit acts, only context. People at locations they should never have been. A passing embrace, an unnatural glance. A hand too far onto someone's shoulder. A door in the act of closing. The island's real power lies in implication. Implication is a more potent weapon than established fact. It makes everyone second guess themselves. You pocket several photographs, take a few documents, note down serial numbers, and leave. When you return to the elevator, you are not alone. The director stands there, upright, as if he has been waiting for exactly 1 hour. Insomnia, he says with a smile. His voice is honey-laced with broken glass. In half a second, you construct a line. "I was looking for the electrical room. There is a strange buzzing." He replies, calmly, very diligent. His eyes sweep your jacket, your hands, the movement of your throat as you swallow. "We take energy efficiency very seriously here," he adds. Then he lets you pass. Upstairs, in the corridor, your internal communicator vibrates. A message of breakfast with the host. 9:00 a.m. sharp. This is not an invitation. It is a summons. That afternoon, your assistant finds you. His face is drained of color. "They saw us," he whispers. "You and me." You ask him what he knows. He doesn't answer. Only hands you a folded piece of paper with an address and a time of 10 o'clock. If you want to survive, don't stay for tomorrow's party. Your handler does not respond. You cannot use the standard channels. You have been deliberately isolated. You must improvise. You walk the island again with fresh eyes, mapping surveillance dead zones, blind spots, and patrol patterns. You discover a supply boat leaves the island at 5:30 a.m. You notice the captain is one of the few people who speaks to everyone yet belongs to no faction. You sense that whatever freedom existed here is running cold. Night falls. The island dresses itself up again in music, lights, smiling faces. People dance as if unaware of what lies beneath the floor. You move through the party with a blink and a grin, laughing, making small talk. You hide the documents in a makeshift concealment layer of tape and plastic you fashioned yourself. Papers tucked against your skin, held by a waistband, burning like a brand. At one point, the host gestures for you. He leads you to a secluded terrace where, below, the black and boundless sea stretches up. "Beautiful, isn't it?" He says to you. The sea is extraordinarily good at making people forget, or at hiding things, he adds. A soft laugh. Precisely. He gazes toward the horizon, still not looking at you. "Let me offer you one piece of counsel in this world. Truth does not betray you. It exposes you. What can betray you is a sense of belonging. A sense of belonging is either work or earned. He finally turns and looks at you directly whose side are you on. In that instant, you understand your mission is not to expose. It is to resist. He is not afraid of investigators. He turns them into part of the set design, or into cautionary tales. I belong to my duty, you reply. He nods, as if he recognizes something in you. Then let us serve our duties, he says. A gesture. 2 men appear. They present a sealed envelope. A small favor, the host says. Tomorrow, board the supply boat. Take this. Deliver it to the man on the dock. That's all. He smiles at you. Like a gift. You take the envelope. It feels heavier than paper alone. That night, when no one can see, you unseal it. Inside a USB drive, unlabeled, empty looking. Out of some absurd instinct, you sniff it, as if scent could reveal what technology conceals. You put it away carefully. If you deliver it, you become their courier. If you keep it, you become a problem. Welcome to the professional dilemma. 4:50 a.m., you step onto the dock. The staff are still asleep, but guards are not. Guards never sleep. They only shift their positions. You walk with purpose, heart accelerating, face unreadable. On the dock, the captain studies you. He doesn't ask your reason. He asks your name. You give your alias. He nods. One hand on the gangplank, get on. Just as you set foot on the gangway, a hand lands on your shoulder. The director smiles up so early. Truly dedicated. He glances at the vessel, at the sea, then at your waistband, carrying something sensitive. Logistics paperwork, you say. Schedule changes. He extends his hand to show me. I need to clear it with security. 2 seconds that stretch into an eternity. If you hand over the documents, the mission is over. If you refuse, you are finished. There is only one move left to use the truth as a distraction. I need to speak to the captain. There's a storm warning. The route needs to be altered. The captain raises an eyebrow. The director stares at you. A storm, he repeats. And you point toward a clear sky. It's in the protocol. You improvise accordingly. Regulations from the harbor authority. The director's expression darkens. That is most inconvenient. Understood. Quite professional. He lets you board, but he does not leave. He remains on the dock, watching as the engine starts, roaring like a caged beast breaking free. You leave the island behind, but you do not feel relief. You feel hollow, because you know that even if you make it back with what you have, the island has extensions that reach onto the mainland. The ocean does not sever the connection. It merely changes the scenery. Inside the cabin, the captain leans close and murmurs, everyone who comes here thinks they're above being swallowed, but being swallowed always costs twice. He meets your eyes. It is the first time in days anyone has looked at you directly. If you're carrying something, best not to carry it alone. You partially withdraw the drive and let him see it. He nods. I'll know. Benedict, I have an old satellite unit. When we pass through a certain coordinate, there's a 5-minute signal window. If you want to transmit anything, it's now. After this, there won't be another chance. With hands that feel no longer your own, you plug the drive into the captain's laptop. No time to review. No time to understand. At the moment of sending, you select what you can: photographs, notes, compressed guest lists, transmitted through a connection as slow as regret. 5 minutes. Feeling like 5 years. When it's done, you write what you can. The captain kills the equipment. Done, he says. Now it gets real. Stay alive. At the port, an unmarked car is waiting. You did not call for it. Your agency would never send an unregistered vehicle, but you get in anyway. Because in a moment like this, instinct says no, but the body accepts in the name of survival. In the back seat, separated by a partition, a screen flickers with a message of well done. Return immediately. The host wants to say goodbye, but it isn't a farewell. It is an ending. You look out the window. The city moves as always. People buying bread, arguing, getting on with their lives. And here you're in an expensive suit, feeling like a ghost drifting through a world of the living. In your mind, irony becomes a coping mechanism. How wonderful the world is when transgression is concealed behind foundations and smiles. How elegant the deviation when it wears the scent of expensive perfume. How easy to believe when madness is served in crystal glassware. You follow the report. You don't know if it arrived. You don't know if anyone received it, or whether it will simply fade into silence. You have no way of knowing whether your agency will act, or whether someone with a higher clearance and a more convenient agenda will make a phone call and have everything filed away. And the worst of it, you know the island will remain exactly as it was. Immaculate green, a postcard with fangs hidden behind the scenery. Because what you'd infiltrated was not an island. What you infiltrated was a system. And a system does not flinch when it is observed. It only breaks when someone dares to tear the silence contract. And that contract, you will come to understand, slowly, is written in fear and signed by the powerful. And so here you are, an undercover operative, mission complete, utterly defeated, certain you witnessed things you were never meant to see. You don't need to name them, because your gut already confirms them without detail. Your stomach is turning, and your mask is still in place, because tomorrow, you may have to put it on again. Welcome to your new assignment. Survive, bear witness, and keep going.